Hey gardeners, I wanted to share with you today my picks and my favorites for making cut flower bouquets. You are watching Country Garden Girl, and I'm Bobby. I really appreciate your support. Also, could I take a moment to ask you if you like this video, would you please hit that like button, because that shows YouTube that I'm halfway, or I'm alive, and I'm working on building up my subscribership. So if you would do that, and if you haven't already subscribed, would you please do that? I would really appreciate it, and share if you like the information I'm giving you. But I wanted to share with you from the standpoint of someone who is not a cut flower farmer. I just raise cut flowers. I don't sell them to florists. I don't sell them as bouquets. I simply use them for my own use and also to give away. So I do follow several cut flower farmers on YouTube, and I learn so much from them. But I am just simply a country garden girl, and at this point, just using them and giving them away. So I thought it might be nice to go from that angle for you to hear from someone who does it, because of that. So the flowers that I'm going to show you and the foliage I'm going to show you are things that I've kind of tested. They've been tried and true for me to last at least a week in the vase, maybe a little longer. And so these things that I'm going to show you, especially if you top off, keep your water topped off, or even keep fresh water, then you can get a long vase life out of all of these. And there's, oh my goodness, there's many, many other things that I won't be showing you that, that I'm not even familiar with, or that I'm not growing in my garden, that work well in a vase. But these are just things that I've had experience with, and I've only been making cut flower arrangements for about the last 3 years, so I'm pretty much a novice at it. But one of my favorites, of course, is your Zenia. This is the Queen Lime Orange Zenia, and you can see how sturdy the stem is, and that's what you want for this. And I'm not going to go through this with each one, but you want these sturdy stems. When you do the wiggle tests, when they're still on the plant, if they're kind of floppy around, they're not ready for your cut flower arrangement. But of course, I have my handy dandy snips, and always keep a good pair of snips. I just clean my snips with alcohol, so just use rubbing alcohol to give them a good cleaning. So, but I want to show you here, you see this knuckle? I left that on purpose. You kind of want to cut just right above that, and you cut at an angle, of course. And you cut at an angle so that it can take up water in the vase. But this is one of my favorites. Here's another Queen Lime Orange. And I got these, I started these from seed under my grow lights. I think I started them in March or something like that. Or, I may have even direct sowed these. I can't remember exactly. Some I direct sowed, some I started under grow lights. All right, and here's another Zenia. This is a Benary's Giant Zenia. These make great cut flowers because you can see the length of the stem. This one is a little bit crooked, so someone selling this to a florist or something, they probably wouldn't use the one with the crooked stem, but I love them. All right, another one of my favorites, of course, is your sunflower. Now, this is just a side shoot from the Pro-Cut sunflowers, and the Pro-Cut sunflowers really only produce the one large bloom, and you take off all the little buds so that it would not have the side shoots. But I like the side shoots. So this is just a side shoot, and this lasts for a long time in your arrangement. Another one of my favorites, of course, would be your snapdragons. I grew these from seed. And when you're using your snapdragons, you only want to use the very end flowers here, and you pretty much take off everything else, because the bottom flowers, if there's any flowers on the bottom, they will kind of fall off. So, but snapdragons last a long time. I believe these are Rocket something, the name of them. But isn't that pretty? I love snapdragons. And then, of course, there is your Rudbeckia. This is an annual Rudbeckia called Cherry Brandy Rudbeckia. Isn't that a pretty dark color? I grew these from seed. I started them about March indoors, and then I grew them on under the grow lights, and then I planted them out when the danger of frost was passed. So that's a Rudbeckia, and that's an annual. This is Sahara Rudbeckia. I love this. Is one of my favorites. Isn't that pretty? And they last so long in the vase. This is a coneflower, an Echinacea, and I have one if I can show you in a minute. This arrangement here I made actually a week ago, and it is still pretty much going strong. So, but this is a nice coneflower. This color can go either with your warm colors like your reds and your oranges, or it can go with your cool colors, your pinks and your purples and things like that. So this is a coneflower. What else? This is just a smaller Zenia. This is called the Oklahoma mix, and it's smaller, but it's good. Has a nice long stem, and that's what you want to look for. If you're growing from seed, you want to look for the ones that end up with the nice long stems because they go best in your arrangements. Angelonia is another good flower to use in arrangements. This is Angelonia. Let's see what else. Cosmos. Now, Cosmos I have found doesn't last quite as long in the vase, so or in your arrangement. What you can do is use them, and then you can just pick out as the days goes on and as things start to wilt, pick out what is wilting. But this is Cosmos. It works well. I grew these from seed as well. All right. What else? Okay, of course you have your black-eyed Susans. This is the what is it called? Goldsturm black-eyed Susan, and these are a perennial for me. And of course, in some places I have native black-eyed Susan that grow on our farm here in the fields. But this makes a nice cut flower for your arrangements. And this is another Echinacea or coneflower, and you can see this is just the head, the seed head. And I use these a lot of times, and this one is bugs have already gotten to most of the leaves. This was a pink one or a purple one. But you pull all of that off, and it makes such a nice accent for your arrangements. And then I dry these and put them in a little bundle. They're so versatile, and of course you can leave them on your plant for the birds to eat as well. The birds love the seeds. Another thing I like to use would be the spent. This is the smooth hydrangea. This is I believe it's called a Miss Ruby Mini Mauvette. And you can see the bloom is turning brown. It's almost kind of like spent. But it does make a nice accent, and it lasts a long time in the vase. And the smooth hydrangeas bloom on new wood. So the Hydrangea Arborescens, actually they bloom, I think I'm saying right, they bloom on old and new wood. So it's safe to cut some of the blooms off. So they work really well in arrangements. All right, also Gomphrena. And I'm going to make another video here very soon showing you how to harvest and dry Gomphrena. I use Gomphrena. This is Globe Amaranth Gomphrena, and I grew this from seed. I use this as dried flowers because they hold their color, and also you can use them in your fresh arrangements. And here is another Gomphrena. This is Truffula Pink Gomphrena, which you also can dry very easily. So it makes a lovely accent in your arrangements. What else? Okay, as far as, this is another, isn't that the coolest Rudbeckia, Sahara Rudbeckia? I got these seeds from Johnny's Seeds. They have such a great variety. Okay, another thing I like to use for accents and foliage would be your Dusty Miller. And I always plant this, and I always have some stuck around somewhere. Actually, a lot of times in my zone 6B in Virginia, this will live through the winter. It doesn't look the greatest, but it'll live through the winter for me. And then you can use the leaves in your arrangements. You can just however you want. You can take off these leaves and just use the top. Makes a great filler. Another thing I use for filler, and this is about a month old. It was in another arrangement, and I took it out. This is Forsythia Leaves. I took it out of the other arrangement, and it was so pretty and so So nice. Still, I said, I can't throw that away. I might want to use it for another arrangement. So this has been in this jar. Of course, I've changed the water for about a month, and this is Forsythia. You know, I just have a Forsythia bush, and I see a bug on it. How long have you been on there? Anyway, so that is a great filler for your arrangements. Another great filler would be your euonymus. And I just have one of these bushes growing. You know, it's a perennial, or it's a bush, like a shrub type thing. And that makes a great filler. Can you see that? Another great filler is your boxwood and your holly. I have these. One of these is boxwood and one is holly. I'm not sure which one. It's hard to tell. They look the same. So if you need a replacement for boxwood, you can. This type of holly is great if boxwood if they don't work well for you. So but they make a great filler for your arrangements. Another cute little flower is your verbena. This is kind of, some people say it's a perennial, and some people say it's just an annual, but it may come back for me. It hasn't so far, but this year where I have it, it may do a little better. But it's got a little purple bloom. It makes a nice little interest. Also, another thing I love to use in my cut flower arrangements is the flowers from the oregano. This is Italian oregano. And, excuse me, of course it smells like oregano, but isn't that cute for arrangements? And it holds up so well in the vase. What else? Okay, the other thing I wanted to show you is some of what they call mechanics that I use for making flower arrangements. And one of it would be just balled up chicken wire. And I also have a flower frog that I just started using. It's actually in use in this arrangement, or else I would show you. Maybe I can throw a picture up on the screen. But this is great, this balled up chicken wire, and then it can just go right down here in your vessel. And this I just got from Goodwill. Always go and check out your Goodwill for your flower vases. So you can see how that just fits right down in there. And you can then arrange your flowers. This is another that already had a top frog on it. And you can see I found this at an antique store. Isn't that a cute vase? And also you can buy the little flower frogs. The top frogs, and I'm sure there's another name for these. I don't know. But you can get, I think I've seen them at Michael's, and also you can order them on Amazon. And this is just a canning jar, of course. I also use them for drinking jars, not this particular one because this is a flower jar. But this is great if you just want to make a bouquet. You just put this on the canning lid and turn it. And then it goes here. One of the things I really love to use is pasta jars and jelly jars. Where's the jelly jar? Here. Because when if you make an arrangement, you make a bouquet to give away to someone, then they don't have to worry about giving it back. They don't feel obligated to, give back a nice vase or something. So, and you can put a pretty ribbon or some twine or something around your jar, and they make a really nice. And I should have brought a rubber band, because when I make a bouquet for this type of jar, I always put the number 32 rubber bands around. I just gather everything like I want. I cut the bottoms like I want. Like I said, you always cut at an angle, and then I put the rubber band around it so that the recipient, the person that I'm giving it to, can simply take the arrangement out and put fresh water in, and then put the arrangement right back in. So that makes it kind of nice, and it keeps everything all together. Another thing, like I said, I like to go to antique stores and Goodwill. Found this cute. So always, if you like to make cut flower arrangements, keep your eyes open, and for different vessels and things like that, because this is so cute to make fresh flower arrangements. And so I want to show you this. I put together 1 week ago today, and you can see that it is still pretty fresh looking. There are a few things that are spent, but it's still pretty fresh looking. Look at that coneflower. That's the one that I showed you. That's one of my favorite things to make, to put in the fresh arrangements. And you know, I had this vessel is not, it's porous, so I put just a plastic bag in there, and I should have cut a little bit more off, but that way it wouldn't leak, leach water through. So I think I did forget to show you one thing that I see here in this arrangement that I didn't show you that works well, that I am familiar with. This is pink flamingo celosia, and I grew this from seed. Now you can also use these, make great dried flowers, and you would just cut them and hang them upside down for like 2 weeks until they dry. Another thing that works well in a vase, or has for me, are the sweet peas. Oh, that is heavenly. It smells so good. And that's a sweet pea. This one's a little bit spent, but I would actually just take this flower off, and then I would have these two left. And you could see some of the flowers peeping through there. So I think that's everything. I did want to show you these hydrangeas, that these have been in this vase for about 2 weeks. These are Macrophylla hydrangeas, your mop head ones, and you want to be careful that you don't cut too far down into your bush, because they start making their blooms for the following year. I had that information in my head before, but it's something like maybe August or September through November, or July through October, that they start making their flowers for the following year. So be careful that you don't cut too far down into your bush to cut off your blooms that will be coming next year. But these, just look how beautiful they are. And I just take them out and change the water. When you're using a woody stem like this, you can just cut up into the stem a little bit, make a slit. Oh, that wasn't a slit, but there's a slit. And that will help them hydrate better. One more thing that I do use, and it looks terrible right now, but I promise you by in the morning it would be great, because it will have hydrated. This is cinnamon basil, and this makes a great filler. And you want to make sure you get one with the woody stem. You don't want too soft stem. And by the time you put them in the water in the evening, and then the next morning they're hydrated. There's one in this arrangement somewhere that's lasted a whole week. So also you can use a product called Quick Dip, and you just dip them down, and then you put them in the water. I do not have any Quick Dip at this present time, but this will hydrate itself by in the morning. So those are just the things that I use as an everyday country garden girl to make cut flower arrangements. And I thought, just keep yourself a good pair of snips, and keep yourself some jars and some chicken wire and things like that, a floral frog, and you can make beautiful arrangements. Go out and look around in your yard and see. Just let your eyes see, like, oh, I wonder how that would work in an arrangement, and give it a try. All right? So you can do it. Hey, if I can do it, you can do it. Well, thanks so much for your support, and thanks for watching. Happy gardening, and have a great day.